What are the most important questions to ask when buying a co-op apartment in New York City? Is there a checklist of common questions you should ask before submitting an offer? We'll discuss the most important questions you should ask when buying a co-op in the following video. I'm Nick at Hauseit. Visit our website hauseit.com to save money when buying or selling real estate here in New York City. So let's get started. What are the co-op's financial requirements? Co-op buildings in New York City have stricter financial requirements than mortgage lenders. This means that you might not qualify for a co-op even if you have no issue obtaining a loan from your bank. Failure to meet a co-op's financial requirements typically results in an immediate co-op board rejection, and this means your deal will be canceled and you'll have to start all over again. A typical co-op building in New York City requires buyers to have a debt-to-income ratio between 25% and 30%. Now, most co-ops in the city also require that applicants have at least 1 to 2 years worth of maintenance and mortgage payments available in liquid assets after closing and after paying your buyer closing costs. In addition, most co-ops also have minimum down payment requirements, which are typically around 20%. In some cases, they can be 30% or more. Co-ops also have various rules on gifting and proposed purchasing structures and uses of the apartment, such as guarantors, parents buying for children, or pied-à-terre usage. How easy is it to sell apartments in the co-op? In addition to the co-op's financial requirements, the building may have other policies which will make it more difficult for you to sell your apartment in the future. For example, does your co-op building prohibit parents buying for children, co-purchasing pied-à-terres or guarantors? How about gifting? The more restrictions your building has, the fewer number of buyers you'll be able to market to when it comes time to sell. Fewer buyers means less demand and perhaps a lower price. Are open houses permitted? Some co-ops and condos prohibit open houses, which means that it will be incredibly difficult for you to maximize foot traffic when selling your co-op. Now, before buying into this type of building, ask yourself, do you want to live in a co-op whose strict, rules-based culture encourages neighbors or perhaps your own doorman to rat on you for holding open houses in a good faith effort to sell your own home? A very important question to ask. Have there been any co-op board rejections recently? A building with a history of recurring board rejections is a serious red flag. It may suggest that the co-op board is delusional, out of touch, overly strict, or outright discriminatory. So before buying into a co-op, you should make sure that there is a fluid history of resales in the building. Now here's a simple question. Are the people at the front desk friendly? Checking the demeanor of the doorman is another way to see how you may be treated in the future when it comes time to sell. Is the doorman rude to visitors, or does he or she behave in a pretentious manner? If so, the doorman could be a reflection of the attitude of the residents and possibly foreshadow how they may treat you or your future buyer during a co-op board interview. Is there a co-op flip tax? If so, how much is it, and is the buyer or seller responsible for paying it? While not all co-ops in New York City charge sellers a flip tax, a common flip tax amount is 1% to 3% of the sale price. Flip taxes come in many shapes and sizes, which include a percentage of the sale price, a percentage of profits, a per share amount, or some combination of these methods. A co-op may also change its flip tax from time to time by holding a shareholder vote. What is the sublet policy? Co-ops are less expensive than condos partly due to the fact that most co-ops have sublet restrictions which deter investors from buying them. A typical co-op sublet policy in New York City permits subletting 2 out of every 5 years after you've lived in the apartment for, say, 1 or 2 years. An example of an inflexible sublet policy would be if the building only permitted shareholders to sublet for, say, up to 2 years or perhaps just 1 year during the lifetime of ownership. Co-ops and some condos also charge monthly or annual sublet fees, so you'll want to make sure your building's fee structure is reasonable. What is the 5-year monthly maintenance increase history? Co-op buildings with a history of recurring and above average maintenance increases should be avoided. One great way to see how financially responsible a co-op has been is to have your buyer's agent request the most recent 5-year history of monthly maintenance payments. While not all sellers will keep these records, there's certainly no harm in asking. First things first, it's totally normal for a co-op to raise its maintenance every year or two to keep up with inflation. The reality is that the cost of salaries, real estate taxes, and other expenses increase naturally over time as a result of inflation. If a co-op raises its maintenance, say 2 to 5% every few years, this would appear to be completely justifiable. But if a building consistently raises its maintenance by more than, say, 5% a year, this may suggest that the co-op has financial or other managerial issues. If you plan on buying into a building with a consistent history of above-average monthly maintenance increases, you should make sure that your valuation of the unit is adjusted to reflect the higher-than-average carrying costs. What capital improvement projects are on the horizon? All co-op and condo buildings in New York City occasionally require costly capital improvement projects in order to maintain the most expensive elements of the building. These may include elevators, roof, facade, and the heating systems such as boilers. If you are buying into a self-managed building or into a co-op with a small number of apartments, finding out the condition of these items is especially important since there are fewer shareholders to split up the cost of future repairs. If your co-op has an elevator but only 10 apartments, it means that the cost of the elevator replacement or facade work will be divided by just 10 people. Before buying a co-op, it's a good idea to find out if there are any current or anticipated special assessments to pay for building maintenance or capital improvements. Are in-unit washer dryers permitted? It's not always guaranteed that your co-op building will permit the installation of washer dryer units in individual apartments. While the majority of co-ops have laundry rooms, most older buildings do not permit apartment owners to have their own units since it may place too much strain on the building's aging plumbing systems. If having an in-unit washer dryer is a must, your buyer's agent should request the house rules or other specific documentation which confirms that in-unit washer dryers are permitted. Your attorney will also corroborate this during buyer due diligence, which will occur prior to the signing of a purchase contract. In some cases, an individual apartment may have a grandfathered washer dryer in the unit, even though the co-op building no longer permits new washer dryers to be installed. Buying a unit with a grandfathered washer dryer usually means that you are permitted to keep them or in the future replace them as necessary if they break. So we hope you found this video helpful. I'm Nick at Hauseit. Check out our website hauseit.com to learn about ways to save money when buying or selling real estate here in New York City. And if you like this video, do us a favor. Hit like, subscribe, leave us a comment. We greatly appreciate it. And we hope to see you on the next video.